The moment I pulled my truck into the gravel driveway, I knew peace had finally found me. The wind whispered through the pines, the lake shimmered in the late afternoon sun, and my old cabina freshly restored after years of neglect stood like a quiet promise of new beginnings. After 30 years in the city, I had finally come home. But little did I know, within 24 hours, my front door would be surrounded by angry home members demanding I vacate their property. It started the next morning. I was unpacking a box of tools when a convoy of SUVs pulled into my drive like they owned the place. Out stepped a woman in heels and pearls, a clipboard in hand, flanked by two men in matching polos with the letters HOA embroidered across their chests. She strutted toward me with the air of a queen inspecting her kingdom. "You must be the new tenant," she said sharply. "I'm Carol Jensen, president of the Clearwater Pines Homeowners Association. You're in violation of several property ordinances already." I blinked. "Violation? I just got here." She pursed her lips. "Unapproved fencing, non-compliant exterior paint, and the structure itself doesn't conform to community standards. You'll need to vacate until we resolve these issues." I looked around, half expecting to see hidden cameras. "Ma'am," I said slowly, "this is my land, my cabin." She scoffed. "Sir, this property is under HOA jurisdiction. You can't just buy up a parcel and move in without board approval." At that moment, something inside me clicked. I'd spent months researching this area. Every plot, every boundary, every easement. I'd known there was an HOA development next door, but what Carol didn't know was that they were leasing the very land their fancy houses stood on. And the landowner on that lease agreement? Me. Still, I didn't show my hand. Not yet. Instead, I smiled and said, "Well, why don't we check the paperwork before we make any assumptions?" Carol rolled her eyes. "Oh, we'll be doing that. Expect a formal notice." She turned sharply, her entourage trailing after her like obedient ducklings. That evening, I watched the SUVs disappear down the hill and couldn't help but laugh. I'd inherited this property from my late uncle, who had quietly leased several acres to the Clearwater Pines HOA 20 years ago. They'd built their gated community right on his land, assuming wrongly that he'd renew the lease forever. He didn't. And now, as of this year, that lease had expired. The next week, the situation escalated. I woke up to find a bright orange notice of trespass nailed to my cabin's porch post. HOA security cameras had been installed along the road, and my mailbox had been padlocked shut. Carol and her board had decided I was illegally occupying association property. That was the final straw. I drove down to the county records office and retrieved the title deed, the lease agreements, and the expiration documents, all legally stamped and signed. Then I visited a local attorney who specialized in land disputes. When he read through the files, his eyebrows shot up. "They built half their neighborhood on your acreage," he said. "You could evict them tomorrow if you wanted to." I leaned back, feeling the first real grin spread across my face in days. "I don't want to evict anyone. I just want them to stop harassing me." He nodded. "Then we'll give them a little reminder of who's in charge." The next morning, I drafted a letter addressed to the Clearwater Pines HOA board and hand-delivered it myself. Carol met me at the gate, arms crossed. "You again," she said coldly. "Did you bring your eviction notice?" "Actually," I said, handing her the envelope. "It's yours." She frowned and tore it open. Her face paled as she read the first paragraph. "In accordance with county records," I began. "As of March 1st, the Clearwater Pines Homeowners Association has been occupying land legally owned by me, John Whitman. The previous lease has expired, and no renewal was signed. You are therefore tenants at will on my property." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I continued, "I'm offering you a new lease at a fair rate, but I expect an immediate cease and desist on all attempts to interfere with my residence. Failure to comply will result in legal eviction." Her jaw clenched. "You counted this as to be a mistake." "Not a mistake," I said quietly, "just overdue accountability." The following weeks were chaos for the home. Their board meetings turned frantic, lawyers scrambled to renegotiate terms, and word spread through the community like wildfire. Homeowners who once backed Carol began questioning her leadership, especially when they learned she'd threatened the man who literally owned their land. Some came to my cabin, apologetic and embarrassed. One elderly couple even brought up and said, "We're sorry for how she treated you. We didn't know." It wasn't long before the HOA caved. They signed a new lease agreement, one that explicitly protected my rights and, more importantly, required the HOA to fund maintenance of shared roads and lake access. The day Carol came to sign the documents, she didn't say a word. She just handed me the pen with trembling hands, the smugness completely gone. When it was done, I looked her in the eye and said, "For what it's worth, I don't hold grudges. But next time you try to throw someone off their land, make sure you know whose name is on the deed." She nodded, her pride shattered, and left without another word. Months passed, the HOA quieted down, and the tension faded. I planted new trees, restored the dock, and finally got to enjoy the peace I'd come for. Occasionally, a few of the neighbors would wave or stop by to chat, grateful that I'd chosen diplomacy over vengeance. One evening, as the sun set behind the lake, I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee, watching the golden light reflect off the water. It struck me how close I'd come to losing my peace before it even begun, all because some people think power comes from titles and boards. But real power? It comes from knowing the truth and standing your ground, even when the whole world tells you to move. And as the wind rustled through the pines again, I smiled, because this land of this HOA wasn't just mine by title, it was mine by heart, and no HOA on earth could take that away.